Welcome to Pitch in the Zone, our weekly gathering of coaches and presentation enthusiasts who help one presenter with a 3-minute pitch. Our coaches, the core team of coaches, include Nathan Gold, hailing from San Francisco. He focuses on high-stakes presentations. We have Scotty Spurzum, also from San Francisco, with a specialty in language and accent reduction. We have Michael Marchak, a C-level executive, a speaker, an author with tremendous insight into the investor world. And we have Massimo Peroncelli joining us from Thailand. He's a serial entrepreneur and has also been a presenter here at Pitch in the Zone. He also doubles as our timer. So as our presenter is going through, the timer will count down. And then, of course, Rick Pollack from Massachusetts, a professional presentation coach who has coached and taught many presenters, including TED and TEDx speakers. And with that, we get to our presenter of the day, which is Scott Peak, returning to us for the 4th time. Scott, welcome back. You are going to present Groups Linked Up, the improved version for it. Before we start, very briefly, what's your audience? Is it the same or has it changed?
No, it's the same. It's a nonprofit foundations to fund my new nonprofit called Groups Linked Up.
All right, very cool. Well, with that, Scott, if you are using slides, please share your screen. And as soon as you have set up, take it from there. The floor is yours.
I'm Scott Peak. I'm excited about Groups Linked Up, a newly formed nonprofit. What we need is an effective way for groups to connect with each other. And Groups Linked Up is here to make that happen. Organizations have been around for a long time, and they form with a common purpose, like a high school debate team, a college entrepreneurial club, and civic groups like Rotary and Kiwanis. Groups have provided a tremendous benefit to communities and its members. As a member of a Kiwanis club, I assisted our organization in a fundraising to purchase the Jaws of Life for the fire department. Little did I know that my wife would be the first person to benefit from that donation. Fortunately, she was removed from the vehicle and she recovered from the injuries. I'll never forget that Kiwanis Club and the services it provided. Unfortunately, groups like that are having a hard time today to attract members and stay relevant. Groups Linked Up can provide that connection to assist organizations. Groups Linked Up will provide opportunities for organizations to share ideas about successful outcomes. Years ago, a local chapter of the American Red Cross in Minnesota decided to partner with local college students to market an upcoming blood drive. As a result, a 5-state record was shattered for the number of units donated in 1 week. That happenstance connection was a success. I led that student marketing committee, and I was amazed by the benefits of groups linking up. Groups Linked Up will provide a strategic way for organizations to connect and learn from each other and attract new members. You'll provide a robust website to provide technology and opportunities for groups to make connections. Once we receive our initial funding, we'll be able to launch our website development and start our marketing campaign. We'll be fully operational within 6 months. Our goal is to have 100,000 groups signed up by the end of the first year. I have a track record for bringing successful ideas into completion. And I have an amazing team willing to assist in making groups linked up a reality. Thank you.
All right, Scott. Time was perfect, absolutely perfect. What did you think?
Well, once I got started again, I was happy of how it started. I focused more about the reasons why groups linked up can be effective and how it will assist in organizations. So I'm happy that it eventually took off. And I have no idea why things lock up like it does. And I think someone suggested another time about getting rid of PowerPoint, which I think I'm ready to do.
No. It's something that we call the demo effect. You know, it's like everything works perfectly until you need to demonstrate it to somebody, show it to somebody, and then it crumbles down.
Right.
Oh, but the reason that I ask is that I felt that your message, your content has improved. But if I compare the Scott that we saw a few weeks ago to the Scott today, I was missing a little bit of your energy. Was a little bit, but enough from me for the moment. Let me actually ask somebody who has never seen this pitch before, and that is Sam. Sam, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now, but because you've never seen this pitch by Scott, who has been here a couple of times, what have you noticed and what kind of feedback would you give as a person that has seen it for the first time?
So I would have to agree that the energy wasn't exciting, and I think, you know, we always talk about variation in tones. That moment where you were talking about your wife, you know, I would have appreciated that. Tone was kind of relevant, but the energy of the excitement of all of this wasn't there. You were quite just monotone. Also, I think in terms of the content, the one question that came, I was kind of like, okay, so how do these organizations connect? And as always, the financial modeling wasn't very clear to me in terms of, you know, yes, I can see the kind of community building benefit, but how will it sustain itself financially? So those were my first two thoughts.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much, Sam. This is always fabulous to have some fresh eyes looking at something. Let me move on to Rick. Rick Pollack, you were just nodding a couple times here. What kind of feedback do you have for Scott?
Yeah, and Scott, I'll make this comment too about the energy, but I think when you gave the presentation a couple weeks ago, you were standing up instead of sitting down. And I think that's probably a lot of the reason why. I think you're probably better standing up, even though you were a little further away from the camera and you had the microphone issues there. You've got to have some more energy, especially when you're talking about a very emotional thing with the jaws of life. Standing up, you can have more gestures, you can have more inflection in your voice. And I'm sure a lot of people had things on the delivery, but I'll focus more on the content. I think the flow was much better about what it is, why you're doing it, the part about you, and also what the benefit would be to the organizations. And you listed your two, personal things. The purpose, you started right off with the purpose, which I thought was a better way to start it than you had done previously. And then defining the problem, and you had the two personal things with the jaws of life, and then the blood drive. And I liked how you said, you talked about the blood drive, but then you said you led the committee and you were amazed. And I thought that was, good wording on that for the content. And then you went into the track record. So I think it's a much better flow. I think if you're standing up and you have the energy, I think it's going to work very well. One other thing I've noticed, you have a picture of you at the very end, and that looks like it's like a 20-year-old picture. And I think somehow that takes a little credibility away from it.
Okay.
So I would put a recent picture of you because you are talking about things you did a long time ago and why you're doing this, but you don't have to show a picture of you from a long time ago. So I think if you updated the
Good
picture,
point.
that adds to that. So, but yeah, I think it's come a long way, and put some more energy into it, and it's really going to be effective for you.
Yep. Small improvements along the way, and it's all about the practice at the end of the day anyways. Scotty, what kind of feedback do you have for Scott?
Well, Scott, I wasn't able to see the one 2 weeks ago, but I wanted to mention another posture tip for you.
Okay.
When you're sitting. We can all do this. So, and I've learned this from years taking care of my back and from a yoga teacher, actually. But if you put your eardrums over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips, it allows your entire diaphragm to work and stay open. And then I also like to put my feet flat on the ground. And in this medium, you can even do it barefoot, and it tends to keep me grounded, and my knees are a little lower than my hips, which again, puts your back in neutral. And if your diaphragm is able to work elegantly the way it's meant to, you can think clearly in every language, whether it's English or another language, and even the language of your business. So when you can't stand up, remember to really mark your posture. And I think that will help with volume and with your delivery. And I agree with the other comments as well. One thing I think you could add, though, and I think it was about the 1 minute mark when you said you were amazed, as Rick had mentioned, when you were amazed at the benefit of groups linking up. Was that the spark? Was that when you went, I should be doing this? Well, then tell us that, because that's what I was like, oh, was this it? I'm making like little stars around that comment. And it's like, so I decided to start, groups linked up. I saw the power of it, and it can benefit you too. I think that could be part of your ask, that you're asking for funding from the nonprofits, but maybe it can be a double opportunity for them to showcase their opportunities with other nonprofits. So I wanted to mention that. And the content was much better. I mean, even from the beginning, it was clearer. And you sounded more confident in some ways with the wording, because it wasn't sped up, and you didn't seem lost at all with it. It just didn't have as much energy and spark as I think you have for what you're doing. So.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scotty, and great tips about the posture. That absolutely, because we cannot always stand up, even though it would benefit, so yeah, that's absolutely right on. Thank you, Scotty. Moving on to Michael. Michael, what kind of feedback do you have for Scott?
Well, you mentioned something about, maybe I should just ditch the PowerPoint piece. And there's some benefit in thinking that, the PowerPoint is not a crutch for you to crawl on. It's something that you can help anchor some of your thoughts to, but you're the presentation. So when someone's listening, they're listening to you. They're looking at you. If you're in a little box somewhere, if you're on stage or in person, they're looking at you. So all that stuff that's happening, whatever's on the screen, you show the jaws of life, you talk about that stuff. It doesn't really matter what's there, even if it's poor. I mean, we've seen really good presentations that have, the slides are whatever, but it's the people and their energy and their enthusiasm that's what I'm listening to you. And we've talked about this, as you've done this in progression over time, it seems like off camera, Scott, you've got the energy and the enthusiasm, and I'm ready to go. And as soon as you start saying, and now I'm going to talk to you about the exciting thing I'm doing, you're like, no, what could bring Scott back? Because, and you see, you're laughing because it's true. We want to hear from you. We want to hear that excitement. And the technology itself is like, the slides aren't working, move on, and just leave that off to the side, because honestly, it doesn't really matter. Tell us what we're doing. I had this great idea. My wife was in an accident, and I was so happy that, the group that I had been part of had this thing, and we were able to do this. And that's when this thing, the light went on, and I was so excited about it. And I really thought this was like, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear hear that genuine thing coming out of you. And whatever the slide is at that point, it doesn't even matter, because I'm listening to you and your story and your passion. Make the passion come out, because when it does, that's what's powerful. That's what people are hanging on. So that's what I would love to hear that from you. And I know you were reading this time, and the words you use actually aren't even that important unless you really screw them up. because people are listening to that passion. If I can hang on that passion, then I can hang on whatever that message is. As I'm investing in you, I really think this is a great idea, and you're so passionate about it. I want to learn more, and that's when you draw people into you to hear that. Why are you so passionate? Tell me more about that, and then you could go into the details and some of the other stuff of, hey, we got a website. We're doing this. We're gonna have 100,000 by the end of the year, et cetera, et cetera. That energy, that passion is what that draws people in. So that's where I'm really hoping to see more of from you, because again, we've seen it off camera, and I really want you to feel like you can bring that and just talk to your audience the same way.
Okay, great.
Brilliant feedback. Thank you very much, Michael. This is just in itself a segment I think that many presenters can take to heart. And I think, we'll just make Scott come back till he nails it, with or without slides, but that's exactly the Scott that you just described that we would love to see here, because we all know that is what's going to make the difference. Massimo, what kind of feedback do you have? Yeah.
Yes, well, first of all, I love the structure, because I remember the first and the second one, I didn't have a clue what you were talking about. Now, 10 seconds, you told me what that's all about. You talk about how you got the idea, your story, and everything. So totally great. I love the structure. 2 comments, one in the slides. Since you have this kind of color scheme, kind of bluish and white and black, use the same color scheme also for the first, and I guess the third slide, taking some blue, the same scheme, right? So keep the same font, keep the same color scheme. The second thing, if I understood it correctly, I'm sorry, I'm just, suppose I don't know you, I'm just interested into investing into the idea. If I understood it correctly, you said, first we are waiting for the funding, and then we start web developing. So to me, a website is the cheapest thing that you can do in any company. So if you're telling me that you're waiting for my money to start a website, I mean, what you are bringing to the table? What do you have now? You have the idea, and that's it. So to me, it's kind of scary, because it says, well, don't you have like a nephew or a friend who can start a website? It's kind of scary from an investing point of view. That's just my idea. Thank you.
Interesting observation. Absolutely. Yeah. What stops you? Kevin, welcome back. We haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. What kind of feedback do you have for Scott?
Thanks very much, Claudia, and it's great to see you, Scott. I have seen some of your presentations on the feedback, but I don't think I've actually seen you in person on it. I'm afraid to say that I still don't really get it, right? I still don't really get what the problem is that people are trying to get. Well, why can't I just do it on social media? Because I've just been on a meeting this morning. Oh, we've got to get our social media sorted out and get all done, and then all our problems will be gone, sort of thing. So how is this not a social media solution? Why is it different to that? And I think that's literally how these groups are going to work together to support each other, which I don't always see groups wanting to support each other, tell you the truth. So that's that. And also the sustainability of the proposal. You're getting funding, but how's it going to pay itself or keep itself going later on? I don't think there was any mention of a subscription or anything like that. Maybe I missed it. And on the presentation style, a lot of TED Talks will start with the message, a picture of that car crash, or even the thing. And you even could do that before your corporate slide. I think you've got to get away from corporate. You're going to be asking people that are heart type people. Yeah, they're looking, they're going to invest in this because of their heart, not, obviously they're not going to want to lose their money, like Massimo says, but they're going to do it for the heart. So I think that, and you can take them on a nice roller coaster ride through your presentation to do that. So, yeah, well done, and keep going, because I know you're passionate about it, and we want to see more of that, of course.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Great feedback. Thank you very much, Kevin. Nathan.
Okay, thank you very much. I won't comment on anything anybody else has said, so I'll keep this very specific and distinct. I put myself, since this is the 4th time you were doing this, in the position of an audience. I'm in the foundation. and I'm listening to you talk about you, I, me, my. I heard very little reference to us, to the foundation, what it can do for you. And so I feel like you need to restructure this in a way that speaks more to the audience about what it can do for them. Scotty kind of led you on that by saying, this can benefit you too. They can use groups linked up, can't they? Or someone in their group can use group, you know, I think you need to use the words groups linked up more. They're very easy on the ears. It makes sense to the name of your, I mean, it goes right to the name of your company. So if groups linked up is designed to really help groups change lives, then I would do exactly what Kevin just said, and that is start with that story of the Jaws of Life, go to the other story you talked about with the blood, and then tell us why groups linked up is going to change the world and how it will change the world. Yeah, I think that if you did that, it would be a much more compelling presentation, because then the people in the foundation will be thinking, how can we use this?
Mhm.
And if you refocus that, I think that the presentation will have a bigger impact on everybody you talk to. Okay?
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Great,
You're welcome.
great, great. Thank you. Thank you as always, Nathan. Superb feedback. And we also have Adele. Adele, you are a first-time participant here as well, but you're already on the calendar to pitch in a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot here as well, and basically ask you, what kind of things have you noticed, and what do you think Scott can do to improve his pitch?
No problem. Great job, Scott, on recovery. The only thing that I would add on top of what everyone else has mentioned is, having not heard your story before, you know, it was in the last minute that I got that, aha, I see what he's doing. I know Groups Links Up is a great name and it makes sense. I knew that it was something in that realm, but exactly what you were doing wasn't clear until very late on. So the only advice I would have is, maybe as you're telling those very compelling stories, link them back to what you were doing. Imagine if my product could have done this, or imagine if my website could have helped you. That's the only advice I have.
Adele, it's no wonder that you pointed that out specifically, because I marked 55 seconds left on the clock when he started talking about his company. Everything before that was story, problem, problem, problem. So excellent point.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great, great feedback. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, it's great feedback, you know, and I've done this enough now where I kind of keep going back and forth, and some of you probably have noticed I've, you know, brought things back. I tried it. I still need to work on that, and just taking the feedback today, which is just so excellent, is to get the idea out there effective enough to know, so people understand it perfectly. What is this? What is Groups Linked Up? How can it benefit organizations? You know, and bring them together, so the benefits I've seen in the past, not just the ones that I've talked about, but others, how they can benefit organizations, and make it easier for them. You know, organizations are busy enough handling what they do, but how can they make it easy so that they can link up with other groups to share ideas and to learn from each other. So the feedback is always, every time I've done this, it's been great, and I just need to work on putting it together and making these adjustments. The big one is the excitement of you know, getting my passion out there where people can see it, and I'll work on that too.
Absolutely. No, this is, and you know, this is so normal, because presenting has so many different facets. And so you're presenting, you're getting feedback in one direction. So you're putting a lot of emphasis on that, like you apparently did with the content and the structure this time. And we start to forget about the other kind of things because we are focusing so much on just one of the facets.
Right.
And at one point, you're just going to wrap this all together. So I definitely would love to invite you to come back if that's something that you think you will benefit from. And if so, let's do it like this. Please send me the script that you were reading today. Send it to me via email and then hop on my calendar sometimes next week. And we'll just talk a little bit, and maybe I can get Massimo on that call as well, because he also might have some ideas, some pointers and tips, how you can get going with this, how you can get this thing moving while you're doing the pitch, because do not wait. I think that was the message from Massimo. Do not wait until you have a perfect pitch, because, you know, I think if you have a viable solution for a problem, you know, people, they will respond to that, whether you have a perfect pitch or not. So let's do it like that. And I look forward to seeing you sometimes very soon next week. And then we'll put you on the calendar in a couple of weeks again.
Okay, great. Thank you, Claudio.
All right. All right. Any other last comments? Anybody, any other observation? No, in that case, like every week, I wish you a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you so much for spending the time with us week in and week out. See you next Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye.